The Adult Store.
Adult Store.
The Adult Store.
Adult Store.
Off the 39 exit next to BJ's Broken Glass Farm.
BJ.
The Adult Store has everything your depraved, sick little heart desires.
Everything.
With new inventory coming every week, your hands will be full.
Hand stuff.
With the sexiest reading material, home repair books, gardening guides, tax manuals,
Archibald.
vintage Time Life books. Ever wanted to do it outside? Huh? Have ya? Well,
Do it outdoor.
we got lawnmowers, edgers, leaf blowers that will blow you away.
Blowy.
And we know some of you are into toys.
Playtime?
Huh? Yes, it's probably you.
Hedge trimmers.
Well, we've got chess sets, model cars, tool sets, and more. Off the 39 exit next to the water tower with a spray-painted ding-dong.
Ding dong.
The Adult Store. Diabetes test available.
Hi, sugar.
I haven't explained this, so in case we didn't have anything to riff on, which we really don't, I put a bunch of controversial posts on the Atlanta Craigslist to see what people would get back to me about. People are only responding to the "Why do you believe in Jesus?"
Oh boy.
This dude's shooting paragraphs like
He's got nothing better to do.
It was why do believe in Jesus? Like that was what you said.
no.
That was exactly it.
I put it-
why do believe in Jesus?
The title is Misconnection ... with Jesus.
I don't know if you know this, but if you fall asleep behind the wheel of a Ford Fiesta, it becomes a Ford Siesta. And then it becomes a coffin. Real stupid.
Like the shovel to the hole. You can lay me down to rest, but you'll never take control. Start a fire in the kitchen, spark another to your dome, burn another couple pages, and all convictions that you're on. All of this is meaningless to me, but not to her. Welcome back, the lesson that you're never gonna learn.
You just heard Waiuka with Demonstration. Before that was The Meat Inventor by the Novemberists. And you also heard the Tropical Polar Bears with their track Bing Bang Boof. We'll be right back after this gratuitously long, pointless PSA.
Ready to propose.
Jealousy, indecent exposure, DNA evidence. These are the things that haunt us.
Today on Who Hurt You, these are the things we should ask. We will examine the case of Chad Smith, also known as Dude Buddy Chad, a reputation that will ultimately lead to his demise. Chad was a middle-class, silver spoon-fed, all-American boy from Cobb County. His days on the baseball field without his father were unusual, and he grew up dreaming of the day he would hear his father shout his name from the stands.
Do buddy, Chad! It was his call sign. It haunted the minds of his victims.
Dude Buddy was a name that stemmed from his father. He never called him Chad, only Dude Buddy. He never really showed Chad the love he deserved.
Chad was a troubled child, and the lack of love he experienced as a little boy would ultimately manifest as neediness, emotional outbursts, and ultimately heinous crimes. Witness Jesse Rose weighs in.
I met him at the club. He was dressed in a pop-collar polo. Well, an Abercrombie & Fitch polo and khakis. He had on a backwards hat and was staring at his phone. He really grabbed my attention from across the room.
22-year-old Jezebel would have never imagined her night would end in disappointment and embarrassment.
Dude Buddy was a fitting name. He had no personality. There must have been about 75 of them fraternity brothers, and you could not tell one from another.
The fraternity brothers had challenged Dude Buddy to bring home at least an 8, and the night was slowly dwindling. His Tinder attempts had failed, and time was running out. As a social detective, we see cases like this every day. 27 messages in 2 hours, from midnight until 2 a.m. He was steady hollering. Not a single fucking female hollered back. His pickup lines were actually quite impressive, but constant LOLs must have did him in.
His lack of emojis really turned me off. When I mentioned the Tinder loser to him, his face turned beet red.
One of the girls he had hollered at had been young Jessie, and little did she know she would accidentally meet a Tinder swerve that night.
They were sitting at the bar. The two, they were quite close, according to the bartender. She was giggling, and she pulled out her cellular device. His face changed abruptly, and that's when the shit, it hit the fan.
I thought he was the guy on the right.
Poor young Jessie was charmed by his in-person pickup line. She mentions how a previous Tinder suitor tried the same one and it came off absolutely lame. She pulled out her phone and proceeded to show him the Tinder loser, which was the final straw that sent Chad into a huge rage.
The scene, it was brutal. There's chairs knocked over, broken glass, pants, and semen just everywhere.
He flew into a rage. He stood up and started running at the biggest guy in the room. Both of their pants were down before he even knew what happened.
Dude Buddy Chad had snapped. Eyewitness accounts and video evidence tell us a tale of a troubled man. He proceeded to pull out his own dick and violently jack off while pantsing all the men in the room. He was screaming, "Dude Buddy, Dude Buddy, Dude Buddy, Dude Buddy, Dude Buddy," throughout his rage, stunning his victims and leaving a river of semen in his wake.
It was everywhere. I've never seen anything like it. He wasn't a very large man. How does one man produce that much jizz?
Video evidence of the incident, eyewitness accounts, and the bartender's receipts helped law enforcement identify Chad by a distinctive white shell necklace that he had worn since 1999, and a tab that consisted of strictly Bud Light. Witnesses also noted his high-top white shoes, prints that looked remarkably similar to Nike's, were left in the semen that coated the bar. Forensic review of the prints revealed they were in fact Nike high tops. The dried splooge really preserved the print of the shoe. After analysis, samples were taken from the DNA tests, and it showed cold hard facts that Dude Buddy was in fact the fucking perp. Police officers wasted no time tracking down Chad. An APB was put on his car, a lifted Ford F-150, and Dude Buddy was caught outside the Waffle House 30 minutes after the incident, hash browns and semen covering his shirt. Justice had been served, scattered, smothered, and covered.
I was traumatized. I will only use Plenty of Fish for online dating now. I'm glad they caught him, but I will never unsee all those dicks and all that semen.
Latest reports of Chad Smith reveal he is now in Fulton Penitentiary and only known as the Dude on the Left. The bars are now safe from one last douchebag. Next time on Who Hurt You, these are the things we should ask. We will discuss the case of Sharice Martin, a small-town waitress with a hunger for older men, and mysterious disappearance that will only be solved because of a serendipitous discovery. Tune in next time to find out what happens on Who Hurt You? These are the things we should ask.
Dude Buddy!
In a world where crime doesn't pay,
Hey, boss, I pulled off that bank heist for you.
Yo, that's great, but unfortunately, I'm light on cash to pay you right now.
Where no one knows right from wrong. Have you no morals?
Well, morality is a non-objective social construct. We're simply operating under two different ethical codes of our own design.
Where danger lies around every corner.
Yeah, let's just make a left around this corner. Oh my God, is that a baby playing with plastic bags in the middle of the road?
Where the women are radiant and the men are smoldering. Stimuli. Who cares what it's about? You're gonna eat it up. It's him and I. Stimuli.
I envy comedians for a lot of reasons, but one is that, you know, it's an art, but you're not lumped in with these sort of like overly sensitive artist stereotype, maybe, because a lot of comedians, you know, are known for being offensive. It's like a big thing within a lot of the industry, I guess. And so that Spotify was running this ad for a while ago, like a TV commercial, where it was, the whole thing was about how, you know, in touch with their emotions artists are, and it's all these people with really stupid haircuts, like crying because they heard a song, and someone's like, well, how did that song make you feel? And these people like can't even form any thoughts. They're just going like, it was just sometimes it's so, you know, it touches your heart. I hate that. I'm an artist, and I'm not you know, an emotional wreck with really dumb hair. I mean,
I think he paused and looked at me.
Kind of, maybe, but I don't just.
I need validation.
Are you buying it? Are you buying it? I can listen.
I like your hair. I mean,
I can listen to songs without crying. Is what I'm saying. I don't really like the idea that, like, to be creative means you can't have a rational mind and you can't. And you can't.
Well, it's like with comedians. Everyone seems to think like comedians are these depressed, sad people. It's like, but you know, I don't know. We're not. Most of the comedians I know are normal people. Like, we're not depressed.
Completely depraved.
Yeah, they may. You know, that's sort of the.
Do you think that helps ever, or is not depression, but like being extremely depraved and like nihilistic about it, or do you feel like that's kind of a bygone era, like, you know, like the bling bling era of hip hop or something, to just be like, now shock value doesn't go as far because everyone's trying to do it. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like the stuff I do is kind of, there's some like dark stuff, but it's out of a place where it's just, it's not trying to be sad or anything. It's just a joke to me. Like, it's just something I wrote.
Have you ever had someone use a really big word you didn't know what it meant, so you just played along like you did? Happened to me. I was hanging out with a friend and she's a teacher. Asked her how her job was going. She's like, oh, it's going real good. There's a lot of nepotism going on. For those of you who don't know, nepotism is basically where a boss shows favoritism to a friend or to a family member. I assumed that it was a fancy word for child molesting. She's like, yeah, there's a lot of nepotism going on. I was like, oh, well, you should probably call the police. She's like, I don't think it's illegal. I'm like, where are you working where nepotism isn't illegal? And she goes, you know, it's not that big of a deal, you know. The parents know what's going on. I was like, holy shit.
Stars. The word of the Blue Mountains.
You know how gangsters get a facial tattoo every time they kill somebody? I think that would be a good practice for doctors also. Because you'd be like, yeah, this guy seems like a really good doctor. He's like, yeah, have you seen any tattoos he had on his face? It was a lot for a pediatrician. And from the looks of him, he's into nepotism.
Not only does it happen.
.com.
Thanks for indulging in our summer solstice episode featuring music by Wayuka and comedian Lanny Farmer. Wayuka has a new single coming out this summer, so be sure to check them out at wayukamusic.com for all the updates. Mr. Lanny Farmer performs frequently in the Atlanta and Athens areas and can be tracked down through his YouTube page, which we'll provide a link to in the show notes. The Behind the Dial podcast is pleased to announce its next episode will be released this Independence Day, so be sure to subscribe to the show and visit us on Patreon.
They make it to the end. Need to be removed.
This is the year the world will end.
You don't know how. Siri.
This next segment is brought to you by Yum Yum Party Nuts. Put something festive in your mouth.
I married quite young. My marriage had its ups and downs.
The boss told his secretary, "Congratulations, Miss Arnold. This is the earliest you've ever been late."
The opinion of many observers.
That's a better plan for running for home.
And Tony's secretary told her boss, "I'm really not late. I took my coffee break when you knew."
I thought this place was under new hand, but I see the same hand who's still here. Yes, sir.
He puts words and words spelled.
Maggie celebrated her 6th birthday with a patty in her home.
A businessman told a friend, "I'm a local celebrity. But the government's getting to it."
Local celebrity. I'm a 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 local celebrity.
Hey, you!
Yeah, you!
There's other people waiting in line.
We've all got other stuff to do.
Figure it out.
Wrap it up!
Thanks in advance for your consideration.
This message is brought to you by the folks behind the dial to remind you that there's a lot of other beings that inhabit the planet besides yourself, Cupcake.